Welcome to Prodio Weekly. It still blows my mind that we're in April. 26 is moving at light speed at the moment. And part of that is just like, I've done a lot of traveling, and I've probably said this way too many times on this platform, but I did a lot of moving around in the first quarter. I mean, I hit my Marriott goals to keep my status from last year in March. Insane. Happened too quickly. Just means I've been in the hotel room too much. I can't complain about it. It was all productive. Some of it was for work, some of it was for my kids' sports. I'm generally having a good time. Like, I'm not hating it, I'm not exhausted, but it has made the year move very quickly. But it gave me this idea and thought about talking today about planning. I put up a post on my LinkedIn about 2 weeks ago now saying, can you believe it? I had 25 meetings this week. 25. Now, for some people, that might not seem like a lot, but honestly, it is too much. That's 5 meetings a day on average. It's a lot. And you think, even if they're 30 minutes, that's 2.5 hours, plus the prep time, let's double that up. It's most of the day. And there's planning, reviewing, follow-up items. There's a lot going on if you do 25 meetings a week. There's barely any time to breathe. There's barely any time to do your work. And a lot of the time, you're just running around. On top of that, a lot of those meetings for me included travel time. And that is something like, don't talk about it in the thing. I need to get there. I need to get back from that place. Taking that many meetings is nuts. I've definitely had weeks where I've had more, and I've obviously had weeks where I have a lot less. I think the week that I'm busy with, a few less than that, maybe 16 meetings, somewhere in that roundabout. But meetings take up time, they take up energy, and they take up brain power. And if you're like me, where interactions with other humans is exhausting, like I like other people, I have good friends, I love spending time with my wife and kids, but it is draining. It takes a lot of energy to be social, have conversations, connect with people. And a lot of time for me as well. A lot of those phone calls are like team calls, so people related. And it's important to be paying attention, listening, reacting, and acting on what is being said. Or a couple of them as well are like sales calls. I need to tell people who we are, what we do, and who we help. And that takes brain power. You have to be on the point. And you have to pay attention. You have to hear the words they're asking you and respond to it. Now, thankfully, for a lot of my online calls, we have started using our wonderful tool called Ping Assistant. Shout out to Camden and his team. We love it. It helps a lot. It means that I can be way more focused on my phone calls and then go review after the fact. Review what my brain said versus what AI thinks happened in that meeting. And it gives me a great to-do list to be able to follow up. It does make my life easier. It's better than pages and pages of notes. I have paper notes all over the place. Never go and review them again. At least this tool sends me a summary, tells me what happened in the meeting, gives me some action items. It gives me at least a process to review and move on from the meeting. But meetings take time, they take energy. And if you're just having meetings for the sake of meetings, it's not very good for your movement forward. But meetings, specifically for me, where I am client facing, I have a sales role, and I manage a team, are an inevitable part of my job. But they're not the only part of my job. And that's where the key of today's topic comes from. How are we planning? I generally feel, and I'm going to be as broad as say, most accountants, and then I'm going to go wider, most people are very reactionary in terms of what they do today. I'm going to guess that most people operate through some sort of who is shouting the loudest. What email is the most urgent or at the top of my inbox? Let me deal with that right now. Or they have a general sense, hey, every Thursday, which a lot for our team, I do payment requests. So I don't care what's on my inbox. They might be urgent, might be important. There might be a, end of the world in there, but I don't care because Thursday is my payment request day. So nothing else matters. There's some good concepts in there. It is important to deal with urgent items in your inbox. It is important to understand what your key deliverables are in a day and make time for them. But you can't just do those. You need a process in your life to better plan so that you can execute on the highest priority items to make sure that you're adding value to your clients. This all starts with understanding what a priority is. And I had this conversation with my team. If everything is a priority, it's likely none of it is a priority, and you're probably not going to do a very good job at it. You have to understand, us as accountants, what are the most important tasks we have to do. And that comes to the point of the most important things we do is keeping businesses in business and keeping them out of regulatory problems, i.e., potential prison. So when I think of priorities in accounting, making sure payroll is run is number one priority. Because if you don't have happy people, you don't have a business. So we need to make sure that payroll deadlines are met. Then anything else to do with compliance. Oh, we're filing sales tax? You better file that sales tax return. Because a minute late, they're charging you interest and penalties, right? You've got bank reporting or some investor reporting that is very dependent on the money that they have in debt to allow them to continue business. Better meet that deadline. There is some sort of audit taking place because of, it could be workers' comp, it could be some sort of payroll audit, it could be sales tax, compliance, whatever it is, that's a priority because there's most likely interest and penalties racking up at that time. You need to do things today that will affect the ability for them to do business. So in my mind, some of the big things, important things we do is cash flow forecasts. That could be weekly, monthly, for 13 weeks. That's critically important. We're doing that task because they understand that they will have cash flow constraints. But they need that tool to understand when those constraints are so they know when to push recoveries or when to push paying expenses. That is important to running their business because they need to make decisions and have conversations to keep themselves operating without interruption. It's a priority. It's probably not a priority to capture AP bills today. It'd be nice if it's done, but if a bill isn't processed today, does the world come to an end? Probably not. Now, if today is a payment day and you haven't got your bills paid, this could be more problematic. But that's when you understand timings and flows and systems. We need to understand what tasks we are doing has the biggest impact on our clients. What keeps them operating? And before we do any planning, these are the concepts we need to understand and put in place. We need to be clear on true priorities, not whatever's at the top of that to-do list. We need to scan our to-do list and understand what is high risk, what is high priority, what needs to be done today. That's the starting point. Then when it comes to planning work, we need a process. And we do need a daily process, but realistically, a process should envelop the whole week. I like to look at it as at some point, I prefer to do this on a Sunday evening. You do it on a Monday morning when you first start work. I run a business, my business, I get to do what I like. But ideally, if you're working for a company, Monday morning, the first thing you do is you go, what is happening this week? Each day, what are my priorities? What are the tasks I need to do? What is the time constraints of these? How am I going to budget my day? Do I need to talk to anybody that is expecting work from me and say that deadline is not being able to meet because of a delay, missing a documentation, or I just don't have enough time and I need help to understand which tasks should be moved around to make sure I hit that because I believe it's a priority, or at least you're making me believe it. Then on a daily basis, you review that list and you add on any new items that have come in. And again, with the new items, you try slot them into that plan for the rest of the week. And if you can't fit it in, you have conversations with people who are asking for the deliverables to get feedback on what needs to be moved. Ongoing process. You're still working with that list you created on Monday, but you're adding and moving items around. You do that every single day. You get to the end of the week and you review that list and see how you've done. And all the items that you've circled along the way that are high priority and need to be done, you need to make sure they have been completed at the end of the week. And if they haven't, you better sound the alarm bells and tell the people, hey, I didn't get to this. I need more time, whatever it is. But if you've been doing your planning well the whole week, there shouldn't be any alarm bells going off. There might be tasks that are then shifted into the next week. And to tell the truth, that Friday review, that end of the week review, is step one in processing planning for the next week. Because now you have a list of things you didn't get to this week, and you have notes that you've communicated to people that you're pushing it into next week. It is then the basis of your starting of your week ahead. You add all the items from that week, you build out your plan, you communicate, and you move forward. This is a continuous process, happens week after week, day after day, and it builds on each other. You're building out a picture of what you need to do on a daily basis, and for items that need to move, you make sure you move. Now, I would say make sure you not keep moving the same item over and over and over and over. If it's there for more than 2 weeks, there should be an alarm bell singing. This is a problem. But we need better processes to plan. We cannot be reactionary all the time, because if we're reactionary all the time, we are stressed, and when we are stressed, we're doing bad. I'm getting too worked up on this topic, but I know a lot of people aren't planning. I want you all to have a better plan to plan. I want you all to better understand how to prioritize, take some stress off of your life, and then execute. You will feel better. The people you work with will feel better about you, and the quality of work that you push out will be exceptional. If you want to be a better accountant, a better service provider, and take less stress off your life, learn to prioritize, learn how to plan. I hope this helps a little bit. If not, let me know. I'll maybe try to break it down a little bit more on the way I do it. But this is the gist of it. I wish you all the best for the rest of the week. Talk to you soon.